So reflecting back into my beginning of fatherhood, and that little laugh that I just now did is a very important element in all of this, because I was very affected in my youth about in praise of older women, and there was a book that was called The Lightness of Being. Those two, with my history with my mother and what she went through between the First and Second World Wars, and then the birth that she had to go through when I was being born, to the bombing. Most everybody knows the details of that. But all of that womanhood, and that whole effect of, at the age of 19, finding out that your girlfriend is pregnant, and Nancy was pregnant, and we had to decide what to do. And of course the question of each parent coming up with their choices. My father saying, okay, take responsibility. My mother was saying, because she came from that background in Europe with the abortion question and the rapes and all the other stuff, she said, have an abortion and get married if you want, but don't start it with, that kind of a responsibility. That was my mother's. And Nancy's mother's was very clearly, remember it. She wanted us to drop out of school, get married, and move back to her home, and me give up college. I mean, very, very open about it. She said, I gotta go to work, and I gotta take care of a family. And of course she was like that because of her history with Nancy's father, who left them. So anyway, those were just the realities. And here I am, 19, and I'm realizing I'm in the doorstep of fatherhood. So I'm not going into the history of what happened, just very a big brush. We stayed out of that semester, my sophomore year, second semester. I went to work. I became a diamond cutter in a factory that was creating diamond tools, and I made a fairly good salary, and I was able to make enough money for us to go back to Davis and Elkins College and get an apartment, and Nancy went to summer school, and I began in the fall. So I was some credits behind. I had to catch up, and I also had to get a job. So this was that. So I went through school, and then things were not evolving very well with Nancy. She was just a very angry, young girl with the right to be angry because of what she went through. And all of that, was like it was it was not a good mix, and I just recognized it, you know. And after about 2 3 years, um, we started talking about, you know, doing something. We didn't know what, but it was obvious to both of us that it was not a. I assumed. I mean, we had conversations, and I assumed it was obvious to her, and she wasn't too happy. So what are we gonna do? So anyway, we separated for that summer, or yeah, and then when we got back together um, in the fall, and next thing I know, she's pregnant again, and that she went off the pill. She told me. I asked her, "Oh, I thought you were on the pill." And, you know, I worked for 3 years, 4 years, almost 4 years. What happened? She said, well, she went off on purpose, intentionally, thinking that maybe having another child would be better for all of us. It blew me away, and it opened up a whole other story about the fact that when she got pregnant with Adrian, that she was not worried about getting pregnant, and I shouldn't worry about getting pregnant because she had been protected, and she's been protected for quite some time. It wasn't just because of me. And so anyway, she got pregnant, and so now I wonder whether she got pregnant because she went off the pills then too. And so it opened up another set of discussions and all of that. And anyway, it was a down slope from there, even though I went back and I attempted to, I went back up to New Jersey, I was working in advertising world, and so it was just an opening to get out. And actually, Nancy received the inherited the money from her real grandfather, which she suspected. So, and it was somebody that was, Uncle Diamond was his name, and don't have to go into the detail. But anyway, so there were just so many real and underlying issues about fathers and men, and you know, coming to me, and I kind of felt abused by a lot of the ways that I was treated, you know. So, and the subject of gaslighting that is coming up in today's conversation, it seemed to me that I didn't know that term back then, you know, but I felt like I was being accused of things that was being done to me. So I don't know about gaslighting, and back then. I don't know if that's exactly fits, because I guess when you're gaslighted, it's like, what? That's not my reality, you know? And um, anyway, so that's what comes up, and that's what happens when, and that's why therapists kind of separate the, you know, try to get the truth out of all the sides, and that's what Lynn did not want to do. But you can tell me what.
Nancy.
Oh, yeah, but I'm
You
talking.
weren't no.
Well, I was
you
talking
went
about
in your
Nancy up till
mind.
now, but I
But
guess I jumped.
yeah.
That even Lynn, neither
Oh,
one
sorry.
was interested in therapy. Is the point. And but it was very. It's even more powerful about what Lynn went through, and I hadn't talked about that part. But right now I'm involved with talking to Adrian and Amy about this situation, and they actually brought up, and Amy did, about Bryony and Gielan, that perhaps they see it the same way, you know, about those things, and I mean, their biggest complaint is the fact that they didn't have any alone time with me. That there was always another woman. So the woman issue is basically, that's the strongest, you know, and it's classic, you know. But all I can say is this: is that I made it my life's work to really to find out who I am. And it started with therapy, with psychotherapists, and then all kinds of other, you know, even went to some gypsies, you know, readers, and of course astrology, astronomy, all of those things that led me to where I become in my association with different people, and to the point of, and above all, to thine own self be true. And that, so that put words to what I consider to be my life's work. My intent is to really find out who I am. And it's incredible to discover that as we experience life on this earth, this beautiful planet with everything that's going on, and with my life offering me all these different experiences with indigenous people all over, from Burma to, you know, the natives in the United States. And of course I consider myself a native of, from called Hungary, but where we came from, I've connected with the original tribe of the Magyars. So this enters into it all because I've lit the way to where I've been, and I'm also lighting the way of where I know that I can go intentionally into who I am essentially, and what that, how that flowers out in all these different ways that has enriched me as a being. And above all, that's what I'd like to pass on to my children. I mean, they're right about the fact that I was with a woman, but that's what happens when you get to be an adult. I mean, you don't get to be a child again, so we can't recapture that. And the father and child relationship evolves. And I understand that. And of course, the memory that each of us have of our events everybody has their own perception of that. And it's very important to share each other's perceptions to maybe see the real event that happened, that took place, and how that is. And so this is the point where we are now, is that to discover that, you know, our growth and our expansion, especially into something as important as parenthood, fatherhood, especially when you're a parent yourself, I mean, the child being a parent, and so there's a grandchild, and all of that is becomes so important, as we discovered with our grandparents, and how everything was, how we've been affected by each of them in what way, and we have to be able to let all of that go in order to come really into the present moment. And all I want to say is that I have let go. I've let go of all of those events that happened. I have forgiven myself for that moment, as well as those who participated in all of those events. I've forgiven myself to start with, because I know I made mistakes. You know, the word mistake. I was learning. Yeah. What is that?
That was a directorial thing for your eyes, to look this way while you talk.
Oh my God.
I was wiggling my finger by the camera.
So this is where we are. We have to find out that to grow and to evolve, we cannot get stuck anywhere. And that is the first step, is getting unstuck and looking and being able to see where one can get stuck. And so that's my first look always, is make sure that I'm not stuck anywhere, you know. So, which made me a rolling stone, and I've been, you know, and there were times when there were no women, and there were times when, all kinds of times. I mean, I've had a beautiful, beautiful life of a movie. My life is a movie. Being a witness, that's the witness part of my witness to the evolution. And that includes witness of the evolution of the people I've known. And this is the challenge with what's happening in humanity. Everybody, all these positions that have been taken, it's what creates the war. It's not coming out of it. To come out of that, we have to go very, very deep and essentially into our hearts, really. Into our hearts, where our soul resides, and make an make a conscious decision of staying alive, staying alive, staying alive. Huh? Whatever it takes to stay alive. And one must work in this world of comic tragedy, or tragicomedy, because it's all of it, it's all the spectrum. And we are at all times affected by all the other souls and all the other life in this planet. We are that sensitive, and it all affects us. Of course, it's not like we experience it, each of them all separately. It's the buzz that it creates, it's the wave. It's measured by the Schumann frequency. Look that up if you want. But it's all of that it comes out, and we all are a part of that. And these trends that are going on, we must consciously go against the tide. Because the tide is not taking us to a good place. And going against the tide just means switching the direction of your energy flow from that of fear-based attitudes, fear-based actions, fear-based reactions, to go to the heart and act from there and make love go viral. Okay, so that's, and keep it light, because that's the lightness of being is a must. We're meant to be. We just have to stop doing all those things that take away our lightness, take away our joy of being happy. And whatever happens in the outside world, in the three-dimensional world, really, even to me or whatever, it's je ne sais quoi. It's and it's also whatever happens. I just know that I, in each moment, have committed myself to be my being, to be in the space, the energy of loving. So from me to you, to you, to you, to us, because we are all one anyway. So there you have it.